You are capable of so much more than you're doing. You are so ready for a bigger life, a bigger impact, a bigger radiant effect on people around you. You're ready for change. You're ready for growth. You're ready for confrontation of who you've been. You're ready for progress. If you are entering this year saying new year, new me, I really want to challenge you to stop for a second and recognize that the progress here doesn't stop because of January. If you actually end the year, instead of saying I'm going to truncate it and punctuate it, you put a comma at the end of it and say, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep improving. I'm going to keep asking questions. I'm going to keep finding failure points and change the system. You then stand a chance at building a big life and having a big impact and creating a big vision. What's up and welcome back to the Get Out of Your Own Way show. It's 2025 and we're kicking off with a really important conversation. We are going to debate whether this new year, new you thing is a thing. And I want you to take a moment just before we jump into this and think really hard about how your 2024 went. Don't think about the stories that you tell yourself. Just did you get where you wanted to go? Because this conversation about this new year, new you mentality requires you to have a very honest conversation with yourself first. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear our honesty, our punchy opinions, and our advice about how to take on change and how to take on growth. Because I think everybody coming this time of year, everybody listening this time of year is like, woo, we're going to do it. This is my year. I got it.
I think on the last episode that we did at the end of the year, we talked about all the people that say how horrible their year was. And then I was mindful on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. How many people were saying that publicly?
Tough year. Yeah. Tough year.
Thank God this year's over. Blah, blah, blah.
So ready to be done. Yeah. This is a really interesting, woohoo, here it is. This is a really interesting theme. And I get really frustrated seeing it more and more because my perspective of this is really zoomed out, right? Our work is all on vision. So it's really zoomed out. And then when you see people so zoomed in on new year, new you, it immediately contradicts everything I know about building, about life, about, the pursuit of what we're really after. It's really difficult to hear.
I know you love going to the gym in January.
For anybody listening, I have been so loud the last 10 days about how the only time of year that I don't go to the gym is January. I basically have a gym here, but man, I am so loud about it. I do not do the gym in January. I would say you should not do the gym in January. Take time. Just take some time. Just don't go. Just do something. Run.
He says, fuck people that say otherwise.
I did say that as in a text. Well, okay. So let's start with this. I was reading this a little bit earlier. If you've been in entrepreneurship for a while, you've probably heard the story of Henry Ford. I don't know if you've heard this, but Henry Ford, the story that's really loud in the Henry Ford saga is about him building the automobile. And his engineers would constantly come in and say, it can't be done. It can't be done. He'd be like, his famous line was, I can see it and I'll have it. Right. And he was just like, I will get what I want. And his engineers kept failing. So he would fire a new group. And as he marched his vision forward, he was known for being rather prickly about this has to happen. Right. And I think that's a really good story because we now know the automobile and we understand that at a certain point that didn't make any sense. So it's really cool to hear that version of the story, but there's a different version of the story that I actually like even better. So Henry Ford in just before the turn of the I guess it would be the 19th century. I don't know how that works. Just before 1900.
So at the end of the 19th.
End of the 19th century, right? He had been known and made a lot of popularity out of building what he called the Quadrus cycle, basically the early edition of a car. And at that time, right, horses are what is moving us around. And then he built a company, and that company was largely about racing. He wanted to really perfect the vehicle. So he went to try to find investors, raised an equivalent of $500,000. Then when that failed, he went and did it again. So he built this car company. It tanked. He wanted more money from investors. Didn't happen. He's out. So he starts it again, making a racing company. And after he failed to like build this race car, his own company kicked him out. It was called the Henry Ford Company. Kicked him out. Then finally, at the age of 39, this was 7 years after he built the quadricycle, he finally had the first production automobile. 7 years.
Similar to Steve Jobs.
Very similar to Steve Jobs.
He was also kicked out of the company.
So here's I think a really important perspective that people lack. We have these stories historically that we look at and we think of greatness, we think of triumph and conquest, and we story tell them in fragments. We story tell them like you say a year in history and then you say another year in history, but you don't really follow the actual chronicle. 7 years is a long time to die on the sword of a belief. That's a lot of rejection. That's a lot of hard shit. Henry Ford could not have had a new year, new you, because we never would have a car.
It's a Harry Potter lady. Oh, I forget her name.
Rowling. Yeah, J.K. Rowling, same way.
Yeah.
If you have a new year, new you, and you've got a big dream, you cannot afford to new year, new you it. You can't reset. You can't just like pause the clock and be like, you know what? I'm out. The idea is dead. I'm just going to keep going. It prevents you from becoming, because the art of becoming is such a long game. And I think that the first position on this that I really love to like just put an anchor in is if you're doing anything really big, if you're really pursuing change, Henry Ford style, you don't even need to be doing Henry Ford big, but if you're pursuing something really big, you have got to keep going. You can't afford to reset the clock every 12 months and let your dream just die because it didn't happen.
Are you asking me to respond to that?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I could respond in the opposite, because I don't.
We put Marty in a really awkward position
because I don't agree with anything that will come out of my mouth for the most part.
So what do you think people would say in response to that?
Oh, well, you failed 7 times. Why are you going to keep doing it?
I love that. That's great. That's a great position.
Or same thing with J.K. Rowling, which was like 90 times.
She got rejected all the time.
Yeah, 90 times or something like that. It's an insane amount. Why would you keep going? Why would you keep doing the same thing and pursuing the same thing when all evidence at least up to that point indicates it has failed?
Well, there's a big difference between like abject failure and failure as a process, right? I think the new year, new you narrative is largely about like, if you didn't make it, just reset, right? Just start over. And, if in my opinion, if you can reset, if you can truly just, the clock starts over again. And I get there's like metrics that we reset every year, but if you can reset, you don't have vision. You weren't playing big. You're inching and playing for inches on a gigantic field. And if it really was a failure, was it an abject failure? Was it so totalitarian that you can just walk away? Like J.K. Rowling, she's a great example. So is Henry Ford in this case. Like the failures were happening, but there was constant improvements, right? There's progress. May not be where they wanted it to be, but I think that you would have to discount that.
I'm just like, how many new year, and you have some statistics, how many new year, new you people actually believe that they're going to change throughout the year?
Well, I think everybody, right? I think everybody goes into the year like, this is my year. And very quickly we can weed out the herd super fast, right? So here's some fun facts for you. 23% quit in week 1. Whatever their goal, whatever the dream was.
25, a quarter of the people.
Week 1.
A quarter.
Bro, that's 7 days. That is bananas to me.
And today is the 3rd.
Today's the 3rd.
So we're halfway.
So you're halfway to a quarter of the people.
I'm already wondering whether this will actually work. Do I really have the energy to get up and go to the gym today? I don't know if I can do it today.
So this idea of like resetting the clock, so we'll talk about more of the stats as we go, but this idea of resetting is perpetuated all the time, right? We did it in Y2K. Oh, computers are just going to blow up, and what are we going to do? It also happened with like the Mayan calendar. People were like 2020, and I think we're infatuated with resetting because we're not proud of our history. I think that's a big part of it. I'm not proud of my history. I'm not proud of my failures. You almost have to like love your failures equally as much as you love your successes in order to escape this dumb box.
This is a reality, because I even studied this in theological world, that there's been a shift over time where I can always start at this moment and act as if nothing prior has happened.
Yeah, I can pretend.
Correct. Which is, I don't know how you do that as a human being, to think that there's no sense of ownership of what has taken place in my life prior to this moment, so I could just start over. I still don't think I don't know how you do that as a human being. I don't think it's possible.
If it is possible, it's really unhealthy.
Right. Yeah. And you probably have some kind of psychological disorder.
Yeah.
If you do that.
Pretend like it never happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are plenty
we don't
of
know any people like that, though.
There are plenty of arguments for the idea of like, I want change, so I'll be a new me. Like, many of the pillars of personal development have a lot to do with change, right? They're all, sort of all about change and growth. They're synonymous. But the thing that drives me nuts about this is that in order to have change, you have to be able to see something different. You have to have a vision. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, or you're able to like see a clip, we've got a giant banner behind me of like the name of our work, right? Living Vision, and the program that we do. But the thesis of that is largely that unless you can see beyond the hurdles, you'll stop at the hurdle. Because the person that quits a week in, but the 23% of people that quit a week in,
commitment.
Like, hey, E for effort, like Jesus Christ. The thing that's happening there is they can't see beyond the pain. They can't see beyond the failure, because you're going to fail in order to chase anything really big.
Because if you try to change something, you will eventually have to face a mindset that has gotten you there.
For sure. The individuals that are,
and which may have worked up to that point, but will no longer.
Correct. Like, what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
The individuals that are capable of crafting a big life and creating big success and breaking through big milestones are not fixated on obstacles. Those that stop only can see the obstacle, right? I can't see past this.
Yeah. Well, but what would you say to, like, this would be my position. I'm not Steve Jobs. I'm not Elon Musk. I'm not Henry Ford. So why bother? Like, I'm not them. I don't have that kind of.
I'm not a visionary,
right?
Well, everyone is a visionary. So let's define maybe what that means, right? One, I think, is to have vision. That's a pretty obvious definition. But more of it is, I can see who I want to become. That's it. I'm a visionary when I can see who I want to become. Now, obviously, in that picture, we want to be really detailed and broad and understand our radius and impact and enterprise and all those things.
But Steve Jobs created Apple. How can anything I do compare to what Steve Jobs has accomplished? So even in his death.
Yeah, the comparison is not about accomplishment. The comparison is about the human. Steve Jobs is a great example of this. While he surmounted what most people will ever create and accumulated, he also was fucking miserable. Like, his notes on his deathbed,
crazy.
Yeah, but his notes on his deathbed are all about like what he like failed to recognize about life. And if you really look at the visionary of Steve Jobs, he always wanted to be a certain person, but I think was entrenched in like this concept and idea, and had to really root all the way out. Even when he had cancer, it was like, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to do this. Like, maybe that's the vision, the commitment to the vision that he had. But even beyond that, it kept going, right? Even when he like had to step out, he still was pursuing a vision. It has nothing to do with the accomplishments or the wealth or even the lifestyle.
And the vision that he had lived beyond him in Apple. When they kicked him out of the company,
yeah,
it still continued to progress. Maybe not the way they want it. So they bring him back. But to this day, I still have it right here. Like
Yep.
it's still going. He's been dead for how long now?
And Apple, in many ways, has not been able to build beyond Steve Jobs.
Nope.
Right.
It just kind of they tried to drum up this new
video. New year, new you. Yeah.
Right,
it's the same shit, man. It's the same phone. Fuck, you're selling me the same phone. It's another $1,600. Like it's the same, but it's the same phone, right? So every year,
my Apple Watch still looks like, which is one of the originals. They still look the same today.
It looks the same.
It hasn't changed.
It looks the same.
I think you said they've gotten a little thinner, but beyond that,
it looks the same. And even like the Ultra, it looks, it's not a major departure. So I think what we can.
So essentially, there's probably not a visionary in that company anymore to help them get. I forget who runs it now.
Yeah.
To get them to the next level.
It was Tim Cook for a while, but and I think
I think it's still him.
Just to re-anchor into the question, I think what we can learn from that is like, it's easy to look at wealth, production, output, and say, okay, this person, I'll never be that person. Why would I need a vision? Like, we work with really successful and on the way to successful entrepreneurs that also really thrive once they have a vision. And
they're successful and they're on their way to success.
Both. But the thing that Steve Jobs has, and the thing that Musk has, and the things that Ford has and Rowling had, are really like two things that I think we all can learn from. One is focus, and two is commitment. And if you understand who you want to be, you need those things. That's what makes somebody really proficient in like the pursuit of something. I'm focused and I'm committed. The people that quit in week one, they're neither of those things, right? Maybe you could argue they're focused for like a week, but that's not focus, right? Like focus is a long-term derivative.
I got a little break over the holiday. I'm going to start fresh. That's essentially how.
Or I'm just overeating and I'm This is like a counter punch.
I'm going to eat an apple for the next 6 days.
Yeah. So, there's a lot that we can extract from that. What I think about vision is not really about the things. It's about the way. That's the other piece that I think we can learn from them.
You mean the process of getting
the process, not the product. So we say like, okay, you're a visionary like Steve Jobs. There's a product to that, right? There's an outcome to that. I think that what we should be observing is the process, right? He got kicked out of his own company, like Henry Ford, came back in and was willing to like sort of die on the sword of what he believed in. That's what makes, that's the person we want to become. Is like, I believe in this. I'm going to take a stand for it. And the process is something I will do undyingly. I will commit to this process for so long, 7 years for Henry Ford, longer for Steve Jobs. I'll commit to this process. I'll focus on this outcome for so long that everyone else would think I'm crazy just to begin with.
So do you think that we, the average consumer, that thinking is counterintuitive to what we are pretty much accustomed to? It's much more about the product than it is about the process.
Yes. Yeah.
And that if we put ourselves in the place of the product, we're thinking, I want to lose 150 pounds this year, if that's the goal. I don't see any type of progress that first week, so I just give up because, well, why bother at that point? Because the needle hasn't moved at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm still thinking about myself, even myself as a product at the end.
I want the end goal.
Yeah.
I don't want the way, the method.
Yeah.
This is our philosophy, right? When we build out dashboards for people, when we're like really talking about how you get somewhere and how you reorg your organization, it can't be like, I'm going to get there and then it's done. This is a constant rebirth cycle. You've reached the maximum of your current capacity as who you are. In order to get to the next level, you have to completely reimagine yourself first and commit to the process of that becoming.
But I've been taught that as long as I get the A on my paper, I'm done and I move on.
Fuck your A.
I got an A, not just an A, an A plus.
Yeah. New year, new you, man. The like act of resetting is the antithesis of like vision. It's the antithesis of progress. It's the antithesis of tracking.
But that is a countercultural approach.
Big time. That's why we're here, because this new year, new you thing is cultural. It's become a thing.
Yeah. So it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not for the faint of heart, but I don't think like,
but yet it's still for everyone.
dude, I'm will apparently it's still for everyone, but it doesn't seem to be fucking working.
But if the work I've done, like in consciousness and being aware and being awake, would say the same thing, that it will never reach the masses because the masses are so entrenched in the thinking that they're used to, that they're accustomed to. But there's always going to be that small percentage that's trying to push towards this larger sense of consciousness for people to realize your life actually could be better than it is if you change.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a big part of what people are saying over and over and over, is like, I'm just going to reset, and then, like, whatever, I'll just keep it moving, baby. Like, let's keep doing it. And like, they don't ever stop, right? They don't pause to like aim. It's the gym in January, man. Like, what are we aiming for here?
Wow. It worked last year, so why not just keep doing what I'm doing?
I'm willing to bet it did not work last year.
It worked last year.
We were laughing about how many people at the end of the year are like, this year sucked.
Right. It worked, and my year sucked at the same time.
Yeah. Like, no, it's fine.
Well,
it's fine.
It worked.
Dude, we've talked about this before on the show. Like, but like, it's not that bad. Like, it's fine. Like,
right. It's the same kind of,
the same bullshit of I'm just going to keep going. And
how long does it take to turn up the heat, where either I'm going to push through the heat or I'm going to just go back to what was?
Yeah. Well, under scrutiny, most of those arguments fail, right? And look, I did that. Like, I've ran that race for about 4 years. It's not working. It's fine. Well, it's not that bad.
That's where the idea of the masses, because we are so good at justifying what we believe has worked, even though deep down we know it hasn't.
It is almost inverted, right? Rather than look at the process, we just look at the product and don't really think about, like, did this process actually work? Did I enjoy it? Was it fluid? I got caught up in that race for sure. And I think the question that matters, right? If you say, well, it worked last year, I would say, well, how do you know? And most
still here.
You're still here. What else do you think people would
still
say?
Have a job.
Still have a job. Okay.
Have a house to live in. Like,
so it's not that bad.
My bills, right?
It's not that bad. Like, all right.
I get to go on vacation 1 week a year.
Okay. Well, even if you're running a business, right, you might be like, I mean, like, how do we know it works? Like, well, we're still alive. We're still.
I could still pay the bills. I could still
team is still
getting
paid. Yeah. The most depressing part of that is like watching an entrepreneur settle, watching someone that had a vision, right? Because every entrepreneur journey starts with a vision. Watch them say, like, this must be it. This is the end of the journey. And to restate that, this is the end of the process.
I was always grateful when I ran the retreat house in Baltimore, and I couldn't make payroll the first month that I was there, and didn't know that going into it. I'm actually most grateful for that experience and most other experiences, because it forced me to rethink how to do something, because the place was on the edge of shutting down. And it was either change or you're going to fall. Right. Put a close sign on the door.
Yeah. That's usually when most people go through prolific change, both personally and professionally, right? When the pain is so bad that you have no option anymore. And that could be at whatever level, right? You get to pick your rock bottom is sort of what we get to tell people, right? If the pain level you're at now at a 3 is enough for you to be like, yep, I'm done. I'm reminded of there's a scene in, I think it was Deadpool 2, where I think it was Cable is like trying to
Deadpool Wolverine was on American.
Was it? It got some awards?
I'm like, no, it was on the airplane. I'm like, I can't believe this movie's on.
Yeah, that's pretty graphic. Yeah. So the like initial villain of the movie is like trying to antagonize and like interview this guy for like information, and he's like gives him this big bold threat, right? Expects him to be like, no, like, I'm not telling you anything, and the guy answers, I forget the character's name, but he answers, he's like, listen, I'm gonna stop you right now. Like, I'm just gonna tell you everything because I don't really do well with pain. Right. And in a comical way, I wish more people
as
were
only
like
Deadpool
that.
could do.
As only, well, yeah. But I wish more people could do that, right? To be like, I don't need more pain.
Why does it take turning up the heat?
Why do you need so much hurt and like almost? It's like you almost need to be hit over the head, struggle and strife and stress to be like, maybe I'll consider something different.
Yeah, but I think from my own experience that I think that pain happens gradually. It's like turning up the water on the stove. Like it's gradually heating up that you don't even necessarily know that it is heating up.
I understand that
until you're like tossed in the hot water.
But this is where a reset really fucks you, because if you reset, then you also reset the like the heat, right? You're like, well, just turn the heat back down.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, man. It was already 108.
I'm going to stay in the same pot.
Right. Like
turn the heat off.
Just turn it. Give me like 10 minutes. Turn the heat off for like the holidays, and then you know what? I'm just going to go right back into it.
Yeah.
So you lose the chance.
Okay,
to
start turning it up again.
Yeah, to take action on the heat and the pain. And look,
it's like the newbie machine that gradually
totally
turning up the
totally
is.
It's like, and look, I'm flying this weekend to someone that is like in so much pain. He and I have had conversations for months, probably years at this point, about like, it's going okay. It's going okay. It's going okay. Now I'm on a rescue mission for a weekend.
Good enough. It's good enough.
Right. But now I'm on a rescue mission for 3 days to like try to put this vision back together because there's not criteria for how to make tough choices. And if you go into it where like the heat doesn't bother you, what you're basically saying is like, there isn't a better way. There is not a better way. And I've held that stubborn ass position for a long time.
I've never known you for being stubborn.
Never. Yeah. Okay. If you hold that,
if anyone in my family is listening, they would say the same thing. So
about you. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's why we get in fights.
It's just more fun that.
Yeah. It's way better.
Say it to you.
But
yeah, there's like 6 other pots on the stove, but I'm going to stick with this one.
I'm going to stick with this one.
I know this one.
It's a resolute commitment to my pain. Like I'll just take it. And so this idea of like resetting,
yeah,
you just stay in the pot.
You essentially become addicted to the pain.
Yeah. So when you stop resetting and you look at a longer scope, you start to consider other options, right? If I said to you like, and you've done this for me, not just for me, but for other clients too, would you stay here for 5 years? Would you stay in this place for 5 years?
That was mine when I was leaving ministry.
But if you reset,
can I really do this for 30 more years?
Can I do it for 30 more years?
No.
Shit, you can't even do it for 5 more years. But if you
5 more minutes,
if you dodge that, right? If you dodge that opportunity to like reset, if you just like go around and you're like, wait a minute, nothing actually changed from December 31st to now.
But I think that's what I did for so many years.
You dodge it. You did new year, new you.
Correct.
Like, it's fine. It's fine.
Worked really well.
It got you nowhere really fast. Definitely clap into the microphone more. That'll be good. Now that you have no eardrums.
I went back like this.
The
new year, new you.
Nothing's
changed.
When you start to look at like a 5-year sprint, all of our vision work is in 3-year sprints. 3 years is a long enough time to be like, can I do this for 1,000 days? Right? It's 1,000 days. Well, if you wake up at 23% week 1, right? If week 1 is really hard, I'm willing to bet that week 52, 150 would be really, really, really hard, right?
I wonder if the selling point though is like it essentially comes down to which pain do you want more?
Of course,
right?
It always does.
The pain that you already know, or this pain over here?
It's the devil you know or the devil you don't.
Yeah.
Right. It's the unknown versus the known. I'll guarantee you pain either way.
Right. Correct.
This pain is uncomfortable, but you get more of what you want, or you stay and you sit in the same hot boiling water.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is like when you start to go out of new year, new you, and you just get a little further, you end up, you have to ask if there's a better way. You are confronted with that question. There's got to be a better way. Like I remember saying that at the end of,
I think
2020.
The way I said it was there's got to be something more for me. There's got to be something more. I don't know how many times I've said that over all those years. There's got to be something more.
And again, if you
But
reset,
that more also kept me going until
which is fine. Like, you need that, and I get that, and everybody listening has that too. That you wouldn't say new year, new you if you didn't think there's more for you.
Right.
But if you reset, you miss all of that like built up potential energy to turn into kinetic energy by being like, yeah, that like isn't working. Let me not new year, new me this. Let me like old me this and be like, that sucked. There's got to be a better way, right? I think you miss the extraction of what the fuck you're really chasing, which is a different way for a label. So rather than focus on the product, or rather than focus on the process of like, what is the way that's going to get me where I want to go? I'm just like, I'm product oriented. New me, new label, new like packaging, but actually nothing's changed at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really interesting. Then you get the guys that, and I'm betting you're hearing a lot of this. I certainly am, that are like the like giddy optimists. Are like, it's going to work this time.
All the time. This time will be different.
This time will be different. Nice. Why is it going to be different? Like, why do you think people are like, it's going to be different this time?
It's a fresh year. It's a new year. Turn the calendar. It's going to be different.
Like when you were going through your storm of like, can I do this for 30 more years? Like, what were some of the lies you told yourself about like how this year would be different?
Well, I also did it more than just January. It's like anytime I went on retreat, I did the same. That was my reset all the time, was when I went on retreats. It was like it filled up the tank just enough to get to the next
the other side. And then you could like will yourself into believing it was going to be different.
Yeah, I could will it. But how far does will go? How much willpower? When every time if the gas tank goes down each time and it gets depleted more and more, I can only get it to like half, and then I can only get it to a quarter, and then I can only get a third. Eventually you're going to run out of it.
Well, yeah, the way that I've looked at that, and
because I can never get it back to full. Yeah,
and the capacity shrinks, right? To me, it's like, I don't know what iPhone I have. I think this is a 15, but like if I had an iPhone 10, even if I charge it all the way up, it's still only going to get 3 hours.
Correct.
Like it's full. The battery's full.
Correct.
But I can only get so far.
Yeah.
And you know, I think what entrepreneurs experience is like, but I should be fine. Like I can will it. And usually an entrepreneur builds their whole first phase of like business life out of sheer willpower.
Well, yeah. And some of the other things we've talked about over the past year on this podcast is the two mountains. The whole first mountain journey is willpower. It's
definitely
willpower.
Yeah, I'm going to get there.
And I think you have to do that at some point.
You have to learn about it. Yeah, you have to learn how to do that. Definitely.
And let it fail.
Yes. You have to come down off the first mountain to pursue the second.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the idea of like,
well, we just thinking of this new year, we just keep thinking we can go up the same mountain.
Yeah. I'll climb it again. I'll climb it again.
Yes.
I'll climb it again. I'll climb it again. Yeah. It gets mundane. Usually after 2 or 3 of those, that's when people call us, right? Hey, like,
yeah, because
I feel like I'm not growing.
People do it.
Yeah. Oh, we work with mega successful people, like by all standards, mega successful people who are like, I don't know, like this, I don't want to do this anymore. Like it's working, right? Working, but like I don't want to do it anymore.
And I could do it quicker because I know it. I think
yep.
The grooves are in the ground already.
Yep. I'm just bored. I'm static. I'm plateaued. I think that like the reason willpower doesn't work is because it's like a dopamine shot that covers up the problem. Kind of new year, like new year, new me is that. It's a dopamine shot to cover up the band-aids. So new packaging, it's fine. But willpower is largely like, this is where people get vision, in my opinion, like really, really fucked up. They think that vision is about motivation. It is not. The reason willpower fails and fades and then creates a massive ripple of failure versus having vision become successful is because vision is about a criteria. It's like, this is where I want to go. So I have certain choices. Like if I want to go west, don't go east, right? I mean, that seems like overly simple, but
You think about some of the airlines where, well, I need to get to Baltimore, but I'm going to do it through Florida, and then I'm going to go to Chicago, and then I'm going to go to
Right.
why would you do that?
Yeah.
But airlines do that.
Airlines do that. Yeah. The only way to magnify the long game is to start changing the way you make choices, right? And if you go to like New Year, New Me, what makes me the angriest probably about this sort of colloquialism is that it suggests that you would make new choices, that like a new you would just emerge and you would just make new choices.
Yeah.
But there is no new you unless you make completely different criteria before your choices. So if you, so here's where I'm going with this. If you go like, I'm going to make new choices, but you don't have a criteria, I'm going to tell you what the fuck is going to happen because I've been here. What you start doing is you start saying yes to everything and you start going north, south, east, and west at the same time.
And you quickly become lost.
You get scattered and lost. Your efforts aren't concentrated. You're trying everything to like make it work. And what happens when you get splintered? You get ineffective. And then you're the week one guy. Then you're the week one woman where you are all of a sudden like, why am I so tired? Why am I so like absent-minded? Vision is the antithesis of shiny object syndrome, right? Shiny object syndrome is a lack of commitment to what you want. That's all it is.
I do. What frustrates me about the whole thing, even though I'm the one that's supposed to say it's a good thing, I agree with that.
Come to the dark side.
the billions of dollars that are made by companies
by selling it,
by taking advantage of people,
definitely
knowing that it's not going to. They
definitely
know it's not going to work.
Definitely.
That gym knows it's not going to work.
Yep. And how do you have to get out of a gym membership? You got to drive there.
Correct.
To like sign a waiver. Like,
yep.
Yeah, it's definitely monetized. If something hasn't worked, what I want you to think about if you're tuned in, I want you to think about like a system, right? If the system is broken, it does not matter if like a different user comes in, the system is still broken.
Correct.
Right? It doesn't matter who's using it, the system's broken. Correct. So like if your iPhone, I don't know, if your
I can't
iPhone,
say my phone's not working, you try.
Right. Like it's still going to be broken for me. So no matter how many users come into that system, it's still broken, right? The issue is the system. But at the end of the year, when we do this New Year, New Me thing, all we're trying to do is change the user. We're not trying to change the system. The system is the issue. The system's broken. It does not get you what you want. So if you got on the subway and we're like, it's going to take me 50 miles to where I want to go, and it took you to the wrong destination, you can't be mad at the fucking subway. Like it runs on a rail. There's nothing to change its direction. It goes up and back the same way. But if you're mad at the subway, you're basically mad at the system that it's operating on, right? And if you get on,
I did it once in New York.
Just rode the subway.
Well, I was determined I was going to just use the subway when I got. Getting in a car is ridiculous.
It totally is.
Get in a car there. But I don't know. I don't know where places are.
Yeah.
And that was before cell phones and stuff like that. And I ended up taking the subway, and so weird. Like I could tell something.
Like intuitively.
The right way. Yes, it wasn't. And I find myself in like Harlem.
Nice.
And I'm white boy in Harlem, and I'm like, I couldn't blame this. Like, what would I do? I would just get stuck there.
It's a user error.
I had to get off the train, deal with my own craziness, thinking that I'm being in Harlem, and get on the train that goes the opposite direction. That's all I had to do. Yeah.
So in that moment, right, to connect it here, you had to recognize you were in the wrong system.
I could have kept going, and what happened?
Yeah, you're further away,
right?
Or you say, I need a new system, right? And I think that.
And all it took was making a choice to get off.
Correct. Stop.
Even though I was like afraid to get off.
Yeah. Yeah. The New Year, New You statement is a very prevalent misappropriation of where the problem is. The problem is not in the user. The problem is in the system. Your system failed you.
Right.
It did not get you what you wanted. And if you sit here the whole time, you're like, well, I just need a new user. All you're doing is you're passing a broken system to the new operator.
You're just changing the cover of the book. That's all you're doing.
It's almost silly. So here's some other stats about systems, right? Systems, 43% quit by month one. Half of people are out.
So
January.
28 days from now.
28 days from now, like, I'm out. And think about this, like that's 30 days, right? We build people 3-year visions. 30 days in a 3-year vision is a blip. And half of the group doesn't even make it through that. But it's commitment, right? If you have the right system, the system will change your choices. The system will change your efforts. The system will change all these things. You got to have big commitment. Definitely got to have big heart.
How many times in the year do I get an update from Apple that the system has to be updated?
Yeah.
Why would we think we don't have to?
Yeah, we need major updates. And most times we can't do an update by ourselves.
And the update is often because there was a glitch in the system.
Yes. And actually, here's another really interesting thing, kind of like Harlem. You can't find a glitch in 30 days. You haven't done it long enough to find a glitch. You know what I mean? You can't do the updates. That's why the New Year reset is so dumb. Like, you didn't find the glitch yet. Like, don't change everything. You didn't find the glitch.
Yeah, within the first week.
Yeah, what?
Really?
This is how far you got. The idea of like finding the glitch is also back to this idea of like J.K. Rowling and Henry Ford. You're going to fail a lot along the way, but that's when you update the system. Then that's when you change the system, right? If you go to the gym for 30 days in a month and you don't start losing weight, then and only then can you start asking deeper questions like, do I need a different diet?
And I've had trainers do that before where it's like, let's just get started. Let's get started. And then you evaluate as you go.
Yeah.
But the only way I can do that is I track what I eat. I put in the phone what I eat. I can't adjust. I could start adjusting after the first week because I can look at the data.
Yeah.
All right, this number isn't where it's supposed to be. How do I adjust in order to? But you don't know that if you're not holding yourself accountable in that way.
Dude, you can't steer a parked fucking car. Like it doesn't help. And you know, so here's some further stats on this, right? 80% quit by Valentine's Day. What?
I love you.
But I don't love myself.
Right.
I don't love myself to like stick to what I'm doing. The data says like 10%.
That box of chocolates on Valentine's Day.
That's my final straw. The data says that look like 10% of people accomplish it. I would.
But do you think and we're joking about it, but so I'm working on losing weight, going to the gym. I eat the box of chocolates on Valentine's Day. Well, I
can't do it.
I can't do it anymore.
Failure, right? Vision is the solution to the obstacle because you can't see past the obstacle. That's what a person in that position is experiencing. The obstacle is so big, I can't see past it. Once you start seeing vision, you're like, whatever.
Eating the box of chocolate. You made a choice to eat the box of chocolate. It wasn't the right choice.
Big loop.
All right, then how do you what's the next choice?
There was a post I saw the other day that I really appreciated.
I've never eaten a box of chocolates, by the way.
Wait, you never had chocolates from a box of chocolates, or you never eaten a whole box?
I've never eaten a whole box.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to run out and like make this happen.
It makes me sick just thinking about it.
That's a lot of chocolates. Yeah, that's easy food coma. Like you're sleeping all night.
No, you'd be like, hi.
Yeah. So this post, it was really interesting. It was, everyone in their 2024 highlight reel is like a fitness influencer is like, check out my transformation. And they show the before pictures and then they show the after pictures. And this one particular post was like, I have no transformation to show you because I never got off track. And I think that's what vision is really about,
that's
right?
The person I want to meet.
The system is intact. The system regularly updates and changes. There's reflection in that. There's coaching, there's help, there's support, there's mentorship, there's guidance, there's education, there's learning, there's unlearning. That's really important. But we're not attacking the user. We're not attacking you from last year. We're just assessing behavior. That's all. We're just assessing like, did you go to the gym? No. Okay. Well, then you're not in shape, right? Okay. So what's going to change this year? If you don't go to the gym, nothing is going to change, right? With entrepreneurs, hey, I want to spend more time with my family. Okay. Show me your calendar. This is your system for time. Show me your calendar. Well, it's not in your system for time. The system is broken. You are not earmarking time. Like it's not rocket science.
And then you tell them, we'll try that for a month and see how it works. And then we'll reevaluate.
Right.
Do you really want
quit in a week?
Right.
Tell your family I'm out.
See ya.
And look at the end of the day, like what I want people to really get from this conversation of like new year, new you
It's how much you love it.
It's not, I love it. It's so exciting. What I want them to really
We've done that on the newsletter today. Made that.
Yeah. You can use this clip next week. The thing I want people to walk away with is that this whole new year, new you thing is appropriately intended, right? It's like, let's use the energy that you have right now to like get excited. But time is a fucking circle. Like it doesn't, there's no difference between December 31st and January 1st. It's one sleep.
Correct.
You went to bed.
Correct.
And if you try to mask this and cover it up with mascara and say like, well, last year doesn't matter, it wasn't relevant, you miss the lessons, you miss the learning, mascara. You miss the opportunities. And I think what we've really sort of synthesized here is like tactical reasons why your lack of vision is actually responsible for this new year, new you mentality in the first place. If you have vision, you don't need that. I don't need to reset 2 days ago. I don't need to like start at zero. I don't need to redesign myself. I need to keep improving. I have a lot to grow and I have a lot to learn. That's different.
And again, you cannot start at zero.
And I'm not at zero. Like, why would I think I'm at zero? Mm-hmm. So I might have to get better as a dad. I might have to get better as a communicator, as a business partner, as a friend, as a coach. Like I have a lot to improve.
The only place where that happens is the IRS. They reset and they go again.
But they're ongoing too, because I don't pay my taxes till fucking October. Like when you actually adopt the long game mentality, the vision mentality, right? What ends up happening is you deeply connect with a systemic direction. You have to, because there's no way to get somewhere in 3 years randomly. It's impossible. You can't scatter, right? You can't be all over the place and get somewhere. There's wandering and there's going. And I
not
think
all who wander are lost.
I love wandering. I go to cities just to wander, but on aggregate, I'm very directional. Like I know where I want to go. I know who I want to be. And I think if I really look back to like even like my mid 20s, my early 20s, what worked best was a system. So at 20, 22, 23, right, I'm out of college. I played sports in college. So like I'm in shape, but then it was like 27. Hey man, like how are you still in shape? Then 32. Hey dude, like you have been in the same shape for a decade.
Yeah.
Then
now,
37.
Now you're 40.
Now, but easy. 37. Hey man, you're in better shape. And I've never been asked this question. What's your system? Right? No one asked me that question. Someone asked me, how do you eat pizza? And I'm like, what the fuck are you asking me? You're literally asking me how I can eat pizza rather than being like, what's your system like? Yeah. Right? When you talk about somebody like Musk, Rowling, Ford,
that's the only question they know.
But it's new year, new you, right? It's like, oh, you're getting the product. Yeah. I want the product. And if you look at these guys, Musk, Ford, Rowling, Jobs, like what really matters is like, what system are you running on, right? Musk is a great example. Musk has a big vision. It's literally out of the planet. But I don't think enough people are asking like, what's the system? Like, how does he run this? He has no more hours than you or I do.
No, because I go back to earlier, because the mindset of the masses is I'll never be him.
Right. It's
I can never. Correct.
Not his system.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, when Money Club was operational, we were doing a lot of education on wealth, right? And I got to be around really, really successful people and interview them and ask about wealth and learn about wealth. I didn't grow up learning any of that shit. I even studied economics in college. We never used the word, not once did we use the word wealth. Mind-boggling. Food for thought another day.
I still like the snake man.
Debunk college. But when you start to talk to wealthy people, when you start to like be around wealthy people, what you learn is it's not them. It's like they're not that smart. And I mean, some of y'all, I got some questions, but generally it's a system, right? It's like, I'm doing these things. Here's the system.
And it's the people around them.
They're surrounded by the right people and they know enough to be like, what's your system, man? Like, how did you build this? And, you know, to crawl back through all of the different points that we talked about, you know, if you think you can reset, you're not thinking long enough, you're not thinking big enough. I think that's really important. You've got, well, it worked last year. Like, well, did it? Like, can we actually have a real assessment? Is your pain level high, or are you lying?
I'm still angry, resentful, hateful.
Yeah.
But it was a great year.
Yeah. Like,
more of that.
Totally. Like, kind of crazy. And then, if you're like, well, it's, it'll be different this year, then I would say that your system's busted, right? And each of these sort of defensible positions are, they're not emotional, right? There is an emotion to like new year, new you, but that's why 23% quit in week 1, because it's all emotion. There's no system, there's no structure, there's no like long-term vision, there's nothing to really anchor them and keep them from being scattered like you would be if you're like, well, it worked last year. Like, no, bro, it didn't.
You almost have to keep asking, do I really want this? Do I really want this? I think we've done that before with people where we ask, well, why that? Well, why that? Well, why that? And just kind of keep going deeper and deeper and deeper with the answer. You really have to like go through all those layers to understand, I want this year to be different. You really need to get to the heart of why you want it to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once you know,
to work.
And I think in that answer is vision.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Because inherently, if you can figure out,
because I know there's got to be something more.
There's got to be something more. And once you start asking why I want it to be different, you end up at what do I want?
Yes.
And that's vision, right? What do I really want? And uncoiling back to like what you want, it's often way more simple than people realize. The structure for vision is not complex. Like I could send all of our documents to any successful entrepreneur and he could do the work. What he would do is he would copy his system. That's the issue here, right? Is like,
right.
You would just copy whatever your system has gotten you to and be like, copy, paste. Even if you don't try to, like our job is to say, hey, we need something 3 years from now that does not follow the rules. This is Henry Ford. If I asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Eventually, you need a system that's completely different. And vision is that long-term system.
He did give them more horsepower, right?
He gave them more horsepower, but he had to transform the system, right? The system is completely different.
But also think beyond what the horsepower was.
Yes. And that's a really good point. Like it forces you to extract the engine, but to delete the system, to like shed the system.
It's essentially not about the horse. It's about what the horse
created.
Yeah.
Right. Which is motion.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, if you're in a position where like you're kind of living in this new year, new you, but you're feeling like something's not right, your intuition's not really following it, it should follow that you are now in the like middle limbo of you have exited the old system of like, just reset this year, just reset again. Like, and I feel for you if you're there, because it's going to feel really weird of like, I don't want to do that. And I don't really like this. And I've done this for 3 years and it's not really working, but you're also not quite adept.
I only did it for 15 years.
15, Jesus Christ.
And it was about Jesus.
It was about Jesus. Oh my Lord. Oh, great.
Irony.
But if you're out of the old one and you haven't yet adopted that vision is your answer, book a call with us. Let us tell you about what we're doing. Even if you just take some of the exercises, it will give you a framework to start. Because if you don't know, if you've already exited, but you don't know what vision looks like, you don't know what you want, you don't know where you're going, you are in the worst limbo you can possibly be in.
You all want to be the 10%.
Everybody does.
What's the 10? Because you haven't told them how many actually make it.
10%. Allegedly, right? And who knows? What does that even mean? I don't even know where that data comes from. Like, how'd they get that data? But if you...
They read everyone's social media posts.
They just look at failure. But the...
#fail.
But look, the idea here of like vision being an antidote is a really important one. And I want to baseline some of this for somebody that's tuned in that might not really get it. Until you start to think about a system evolved, like a totally different way of operating, you don't have the capacity to change your today because you're just in like avoid. So when you're in the pain zone of like, this isn't working, you will entertain so much waste. you will entertain so much opportunity that like isn't right for you. I did it. You can ask me how I know.
How
And
do you know?
anything that pops up,
No one ever asks him how he knows.
anything I know, it's the best. Anything that pops up that's less painful, you'll say yes to.
The little dinosaur's gonna. How do you know?
Anything that pops up with a possible potential like medicine for you, you're gonna be like, absolutely, I'll try it. 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 And anyone that comes along with their fairy dust, you'll buy, right?
Correct.
Hey, you need Typo. You need Chuck Norris. You need
but that's my frustration with the whole thing.
It's marketing.
They're making billions of dollars.
Big time dollars in January. More than Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
And so if you're there, again, you don't have a system for making choices. You're just going to find anything to avert your way from pain.
You'll just make a choice
unconsciously, or so expeditiously that like it doesn't make sense until you have a system that is designed and organized for you to be like, this is how I make choices. And if it doesn't take me towards that system, I'm not going to do it. Henry Ford is not like, well, I got an idea. Let's just have like a square of horses around a vehicle. Like, no, that doesn't work. Like, we need a new system, man. We need something totally different. And when people say like they want to get to the next level, what they don't really understand that they're saying, and this is why our work is what it is and as successful as it is.
Even the Flintstones knew that dinosaurs aren't the best way they can get in a car.
Not the best way to lift rocks. Yeah, I have no idea what I was about to say. It was probably important. Thanks, Marty. Like if you don't have when they say they want to get to the next level, what they're really saying is I need a new system. And until you have that design of like a new system, you are going to, and I was going to repeat the pattern, reset, new year, new me.
Yeah. If you're 40 years old and you're still trying to do what you did when you were 20, you will not get there.
It's all got to go.
Because the system, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. You need a whole new railway. Yeah. It's like how they do highway construction. Right. They're like, well, let's make it 4 lanes. Like, well, that doesn't change the fact that you got 9 exits merging here. The problem is not the width of the highway. The problem is flow.
Right.
Right. If one car breaks, the whole thing backs up. Like, you really study traffic patterns. It usually isn't flow capability. There's a problem. One car stops and like it just backtracks all the way down the exit ramp.
Yeah.
So, it's a similar civilian problem that we have in entrepreneurship. The system does not work for the long term. And we often band-aid. And eventually you just have to learn, like, you got to build something bigger that can then shift. And like the first time I sat down to really do a vision, like really like outline what I wanted and what I was going to become along the journey of becoming, I had this moment of, like, holy fuck, everything I've been doing doesn't work anymore. It's like a really alarming feeling. It's almost more painful initially than the old way, because it's all like, oh my, one, you finally have to accept it. Like, it ain't going to work. And then 2, you have to redesign disconnected from the old one. You can't, because if you just keep improving, you don't do the work. You have to design from a blank canvas.
Because there is going to be a point where you're in between two systems, essentially.
Yes.
And you really have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable at that point in order to keep going towards what you want.
Dante's Inferno.
It's so easy to go back.
Yep. This is Dante's Inferno, right? You have to go through the layers.
Yes.
And layers and layers. And like, obviously that journey's got a lot of allegorical and metaphorical sort of positions, but that journey is like, I'm in limbo. And now I'm descending, right? It feels like you're going down. This is down the first mountain of like willpower and like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And like winging it.
And you know what going down feels like? It feels out of control because you're going down the mountain.
You're going down the mountain. And like maybe the way up, you were winging it the whole time. Then you start unraveling that. And you're like, oh my God, I was just winging it the whole time.
And it starts happening.
And eventually you get to a bottom of like, okay, I'm gonna build a new system. I'm gonna engineer a new system. I was having a conversation today with a client. We did like a 2-hour workshop, like really fitting for this conversation. We weren't talking about new year, new you, but we were talking about like, how long have you worked 50 to 60 hour weeks? He's like, like 35 years, right? Like a lot of years, right? Yeah. So so I'm like sort of poking and asking these questions about like, what would it look like to work 30-hour weeks max, 20-hour weeks?
And you know what you personally know what that's like, the guilt, the shame, and everything else when
All
you
of it.
try to change that system.
All of it. The changing of systems. I'm not advocating that it's easy. I just, it's worth it. It's worth
Correct.
every dollar that you
Correct.
invest with us.
Well,
it's worth every cent of the program.
And you learn so much about yourself in the process.
And the actual productization of that is huge. Like the business outcomes, the money outcome, the investment, like it nets, it ROIs like fucking crazy. But as we're talking about this, he can't imagine 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, because he's programmed.
Yeah,
right?
think about what would go through his mind if he went from 60 hours even down to 40. Like that was 20 hours. Right.
Just
like
like
think about all the talk he's going to tell himself. And
yeah. And as we start to ask more, right? So like the direct question doesn't land. So then I start navigating around sort of, I'm trying to like flank his perimeter defenses, right? Because like defense goes off, like I can't see it, I'm not sure, like what would I do? And then as I start flanking, what the questions start to bring up is like, oh, you know what I would love? You know what I would love to do? I would really love to like work on like a family office with my close family, like help them become entrepreneurs and like support them. And you know, I don't want to be an angel investor, but it'd be really neat to like get involved and maybe invest some dollars in things that are already creating cash flow that I can like support and consult and guide and nurture. And oh, you know what else would be cool? Like, man, I'd love to like come in and, you know, have an active board role in the business and have like some mailbox money. But it'd be really fun to like work on special projects and get involved in like the ones I select that are exciting to me. And I'm like, I think we just outlined where you want to go. The new system, right? The new system is like, you're not in it, you're out of it, and you decide when you play. And as we discuss all this, energy starts to go up. Another client I was just in Allentown, Pennsylvania with, like we were talking about all these.
In Allentown.
Is that a song?
Billy Joel.
No, I didn't know that. Like if I could show you how much his face brightened as we started to depict a new system, it was so magical, right? We talked about like what does it mean to play big, which is one of the questions inside of our program, and ask him like best year ever, like tell me about it. Big year, like dude, the dream was awesome. I'm like, okay, imagine that happened in 3 months. What would you do month 4? And it was another like big thing. And then we did that a couple times, and by the last one, you know, we're 3 or 4 iterations in, you can just see his whole dynamic change of like, oh my God, this would be amazing. And there is vision, right? It lies beyond the current system. You have to challenge the system in so many ways that you finally get to like, oh, I could not do this with the current system. I'd have to rebuild. And that's when an entrepreneur, this is like just hitting me, that's when an entrepreneur becomes a visionary. When they're like, I can see myself building this, right? I commit to the process of like who I'm becoming. And all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, dude, let's go again.
Ironically, the fear is that I'll lose all of it.
Yeah.
Which essentially is what you told yourself by resetting the year.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. And you go beyond it, right? You don't lose it, you shed it. To me, that's different, right? You get past it, right? There's like a thermometer. You're going beyond last year's temperature. You don't like walk away from it.
Right. And you don't lose everything. It's still there. You take what works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, I was going to say, because we were on the theme of like church and theology, I was going to say it's like
Jesus Christ.
Like vision's like an immaculate conception, right? The idea of vision, but it might be a bit much, but, but like, look, here's the, I don't know much of that story. I just know the words.
We won't go down that.
Yeah.
path.
I don't know. But what I know is like the words of that, right? Like a birth from within is kind of what I think about, right? This is like, we don't have the answers.
But I will tie it in what we've been saying, that when I say, well, I'm not Elon Musk, I'm not Steve Jobs, it's the exact same thing. I'm not Mary. I can never do that in the story. You are her. You are him.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that.
It's saying yes to what they said yes to.
Yeah, man. The most heartbreaking conversations we have, like and we're at a point now where we can say no to a lot of people that want our work. And I'm really grateful for that. So we can kind of pick the people that want it and want to commit to it and have the right values to impact more than just themselves. Like this is not about you get more. This is about you become more, and therefore more people become more because you get lit up and then other people light up.
I can't believe you brought up the Immaculate Conception.
I don't even know what that's about, bro. That's the best part. I know like baby thoughts of it.
That's like Catholic through and through. Most other religions, other even Christian faiths, don't necessarily.
It's just words I've heard, you know. I just say words I've heard. But you know, when the most heartbreaking thing is when someone knows they're ready for change and knows they're like capable of it, and they settle. Right, it's the hardest thing in the world to watch. Like, hey man, you're capable of more. Like, and listen, like if you're tuned in, this is for you. Like, you are capable of so much more than you're doing. You are so ready for a bigger life, a bigger impact, a bigger radiant effect on people around you. You're ready for change. You're ready for growth. You're ready for confrontation of who you've been. You're ready for progress. And I think that if you are entering this year saying new year, new me, I really want to challenge you to like stop for a second and recognize that the progress here doesn't stop because of January. If you actually end the year, instead of saying like, I'm going to truncate it and punctuate it, if you put a comma at the end of it and say, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep improving, I'm going to keep asking questions, I'm going to keep finding failure points and change the system, you then stand a chance at building a big life and having a big impact and creating a big vision.
Because it's a dramatic, but it is a matter of, am I choosing life or death? Am I going to settle and just let myself fade away and die? Or I'm going to choose life?
Yeah. Yeah. It can be really sad, man, to like think that this is it.
Can I really do this for 30 more years? We said that earlier.
Yeah.
If the answer is no, and you continue to do it, you have chosen death.
I think one of the most common comments that I hear from people who are like, they call us and they're like, hey, I think I'm ready for this. It's, shouldn't I be grateful? And my comment back is like, if you're not grateful, don't be fucking grateful. Like, if you're ready for change, let's go.
Correct. Right.
Don't pretend gratitude.
Yeah. Don't feel what you feel.
Yeah. But dude, if the water's boiling,
I remember.
Don't pretend.
When I left, I probably have said this before. I felt guilty for not missing it.
Yeah.
And I had to allow myself to feel that.
Dude, why would you say that? Today it came up. Like, was doing something for 12 years. And right when we first started coaching together, I was like, I can't really tell if you're passionate about this. It doesn't seem like you are. But it was fascinating because he's like, yeah, I thought I would miss it. I don't miss it. I'm like, that is the indicator more than any that you are prepared for what it means next.
Yeah.
Because what you think you will miss, you might not miss at all.
Even if you don't know what that is yet.
And that's a big part of vision, is like, you got to step into the unknown to start. The Vesta board has spoken as a way to close this out. It says, today is a perfect day to be awesome.
I would have turned my camera, but I know I would screw it up.
Well, you can see perfect day. So pretty close.
You can see day online.
I really think this is
the big vision board went dark.
It's sleeping. Yeah, it's sleeping. I appreciate you being here. I really love having these like positional conversations.
The debates where he has the winning side. Essentially what it comes down
to. No, you just joined the dark side. It's all good, man. Don't be weird about it. It's fine.
I never believed it in the first place.
Martin did a good job trying his best to defend something that we both believe is bogus. So give him a big round of applause for his acting job today.
It's bogus because I did it for 15 years.
Yeah. Oh, I did it for a long time too, man. Not 15 years, but look, we did this.
People do it for their whole lives.
Their whole lives. Yeah. Well, this is what retirement is too, right? It's like, I got here, like, well, fuck, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here. I hope you shed the New Year, New You commentary. I hope you know what? Post about it. Like,
Did you
I'm
say
not doing
shit
this.
on it?
Shit. I mean, shit on it too. Like, it's aggressive, but I
All
like
you
it.
people making billions of dollars out there on this.
Yeah, lots of people are.
Oh yeah, that was the middle finger.
A lot of people are capitalizing on you, not knowing what you really want. If we can help you build a vision, call us. Just go to the easiest place to go is getoutofyourownway.coach. You can go to aaronvelke.com. They both will organize you to a place where you can talk about our programs. You can learn about what we're doing. We can learn about how we can help you and see if it's a good fit. If you've got big aspirations, bigger than yourself, this program will help you flip your entire world upside down and build a system for which you can build for the next 3 to 5 years. It's really, really awesome. It's been great to share. Check it out. If not, follow us on Instagram. My handle is Aaron Velke. His is Marty Noki.
His.
That's what I said. Why would it not be that? I don't understand.
That person over there, his is.
Well, you're right there.
They don't know that.
They don't know. Nobody knows.
Just like they didn't know I put my middle finger up.
Well, now they do. But we'd love for you to follow along and give us feedback along the way about what we're doing, how we can help you. Don't be part of that 23% to quit week 1. If you are even 43%, even 80% by February 15th, you got a long journey. You got a bright future ahead, and we are here to help you in your growth path. Remember to get out of your own way, and we'll see you on the next. Thanks for tuning in.
Happy New Year.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year, but not Happy New You. No. No. Okay, bye.